What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Mind to Motions. So,
I was going to say, I'm Hali.
And I'm Theo. So, yeah, we're still working on our introductions.
Yeah, we're still working on it. It'll come.
It's authentic, as you can see. We're not trying to be. We're not trying to be too.
Trying to keep it natural.
Exactly. We're trying to keep it easygoing and try and keep it relatable, if you will. But yeah, so we're always breaking down different points when it comes to mental health on this channel, and you know, this platform's really just about, as we say pretty much every time, it's about just the exploration and about finding some answers through other means, whether that's through different people, whether that's through different spaces that are online, whether it's different resources. There's loads of different ways that we can get to the right answers. And you know, today we're going to be touching on fear of failure. Now, I'll jump this to you, Hali, in a sec. But one thing I really wanted to start off by saying is that I think with fear of failure, it is one of the most common things that hinders success or potential success of individuals. And what I mean by that is a lot of people try to get around the reality that failure is going to exist the same way that success is going to exist. I think what happens is we have like almost an adverse effect to each reaction. So when it comes to success, a lot of people have a scarcity mindset. So they essentially think it's gonna take so long to find success, and I'm gonna have to go through all these different hoops and different things like that. And it's almost built up to like success is a wonderful talisman that we're trying to work our way up to attaining. Whereas with failure, it's almost like we try to ignore the fact and try to veer away from the fact that we're going to fail inevitably. So what happens is it has, I think, a stronger effect on us in society. Whereas if we flipped that and then we essentially said with failure, that's going to be the common denominator. However, you don't have to look at failure as being bad. I think that there's a connotation attached to failure which kind of alludes to the fact of, hey, if you fail too many times, it's not going to work, which is crazy, because in fact, you look at the most successful people on the planet, they've failed way more times than the majority of the average
compared
people
to
have. It's just they know how to
deal with it, overcome it, 100%. And understand it as well.
And now how to change it and how to manufacture it to make it work in their life. So what I would say is that I think the fear of failure is one of the most detrimental things that can slow down and hinder your progress in your day-to-day life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you're sat there and you don't understand it and you don't know how to work with failure to get through something or to like just move past it, you're kind of just halted and you're stuck at a certain situation because you don't understand it, you don't know how to overcome it, so you're just stuck in one little situation, you're stuck in the same spot. And you know, when you begin to understand it, then you can overcome it and you can like sort of look past it, because like you said, Theo, failure is inevitable. So everyone's going to go through failure. And as Theo has mentioned, the most successful people have actually failed the most in life. And that's because they don't see it as a barrier, but they have a mindset of seeing it as more as like a tool where they can take something out of it. Because I personally believe, from like a personal experience, that and maybe spiritual as well, that everything happens for a reason, and success happens for a reason, and also failure happens for a reason. So you know, there's sometimes when we go through success, actually not all success is always so good. So that's another aspect, but nobody's scared of success. It's always seen as a positive. It's always seen as a positive. And I say it is similar to failure. If we start to see, like you mentioned, see failure the same as success, as in there's always something positive as well as negative that we can take out of it, then we'll be able to move past it just as better as we receive success, basically. Because there's positives and negatives in everything in life.
Absolutely.
But what makes something work is if there's like maybe an equilibrium, like a balance, you know.
I'm glad you said equilibrium.
There's a balance, and that's what I see success and fear of failure. So success and fear is I see as a scale of balance, and when there's exactly, so when you come to accept both in equal forms or in equal ways, then you are most likely to get past something and accept something easier than you are if you don't accept it. If there's like a massive imbalance, then you will get really proactive when you achieve something without looking to see actually there's that particular area where even though I succeeded in overall, but there's something that I need to take out of it in order for me to grow further. Because you can get success, but if you don't nitpick and evaluate and see where you went wrong, what you did well, and to get that success, then you're not going to progress further. You will just be stuck in that particular success for however long of a time that you'll be stuck there for.
Very true.
And it's the same with failure. If you don't understand failure and you can't take out the goodness that you have learned from failure, then again you would also be stuck there. So I think it's just getting that equilibrium, understanding, you know, the negatives that can come out of success and learn from it so you can grow, and understanding the positives of failure so you can again progress and grow. So that's really how I see it. And I also just want to chuck in this other thing as well.
Go ahead.
So when I was like about to skydive, yes guys, I have skydived. That's really cliche now to say. No,
that's good. That's a bold one. I like that.
Yeah, so not long ago I skydived, and it was for charity, and it was for charity, and I not long ago volunteered, so it was like international, and I was raising some money. So one thing that I really wanted to challenge myself is just, you know, I wanted to just like do something that I've never done before, get myself out of the comfort zone, because I felt like it really resonated to the experience that I had. It completely took me out of my comfort zone.
That's it.
So I was like, let me do something that resonates with that. So it was skydiving, and maybe some of you watching have watched me before, come across me, and you would have seen all about that. But anyway, I found this video because I really was kind of anxious. I'm quite confident in a lot of things and like go for it. I'm like a big YOLO person. I'm just like, yeah, let's do it, man. That's just kind of person I am. But I didn't tell anyone this, but deep down I was actually having a tiny bit of a panic attack. I was like, oh shit, man, what is coming? You know, I was thinking like, oh man, like, shoot, like this is real. I'm like about to jump off a plane. Like, is that, you know? That's mad. So it, like, obviously I was like that towards my mum, because my mum would have been like,
no, she would have been like, no, don't go, what are you doing?
She was already saying that, you know, she was already like, you're insane, you're gonna die, you know. So I was like, no, I had to keep my cool. But in the background I was, you know, on my laptop like, ooh, like
like researching, like double check. This is safe, right?
And then just to jump back on the success and fear of failure, I came across this video, and it was Will Smith, and he was jumping off a plane as well. So skydiving, I think it was his first time as well. And he mentioned this quote, and he said, success lies on the other side of failure. And that just like, I was like, wow. I was like, so there's a reason why I'm doing this thing. There's a reason to why. It's because I want to take something out of it.
100%.
So if success is on the other side of failure, then I have to go through failure in order to get the success.
That's right.
So then that's what really like
it's like they're almost married.
It's like a yin and yang situation. Exactly, married. So then I was like, oh, okay. And ever since then, that really just like struck me. And that's how I sort of see life, like in terms, whenever I look at success and whenever I look at failure. So whenever I go through failure and whenever I go through something that I succeed on, I always look at it as a yin and yang. And I try to be like very honest and genuine with myself that, okay, I've succeeded in this, but let me try and evaluate and see where I can improve and progress. And then vice versa with failure, like I failed this time, it didn't work out the way I planned, but what can I take out of it so I can move past it and achieve better and maybe succeed you know, later on down the line. So that's how I see it. I do see it as a yin-yang situation. I think you really need a balance to be able to fully understand it and also cope with it easier, to prevent from spiraling and stopping you, because when you're stuck in something, that's when moving over to the mental health side, that's when it really kicks in, when you're stuck in that situation. I mean, like to add to that as well is you know,
we always try and keep these conversations kind of centered around how they can affect the mental, and you know, obviously this being mind emotions. With fear of failure, I see it a lot, particularly with young people, but you will see it quite a lot with older people as well, because what happens is, I think as we mature and we get to our adult years, certain things are no longer seen as applicable.
Yeah.
So essentially, when you're young, lacking confidence, lacking awareness, lacking self-discipline, all of these different things aren't expectations. So when you do get to adult years, they are expectations.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't necessarily, just because it's an expectation doesn't mean that people are still doing it the way that they should be. So my whole thing essentially is, with fear of failure, we need to get to a point where we make it open-minded enough so that it's not just applies to a young, small group of people who essentially, we're like, they're still young, they're learning.
It's not limited to one group.
It really isn't, because if anything, it compounds as you get older. And as you get older, now you're conditioned to a certain way. And I see this a lot.
Yeah.
You see it, the best example, and I'm sure many of you guys would be able to notice this, in social circles and social settings. I've been able to be, let's say, one of my biggest strengths is my ability to walk into different environments in different rooms and to be able to gauge the temperature, understand who and what is being said, and then, you know, fit into that narrative and be able to add something positive. So whether the room is, no, everyone's chilling and we're having a good time and we're having jokes, all right, cool. And then, you know, maybe we're talking about business, or maybe we're talking about something creative in the art world, sport related. There's loads of different things. And I think I notice as I get to this age that so many people struggle with just the fear of even sharing opinions.
Yeah.
Because this is why I think social media has blown up.
Yeah.
It's because what it's done is it's given the anonymity of you being able to share opinions with people behind the lens in a private space in your bedroom.
Yeah.
So it's okay when you do that and you put it out, and then what do people say? Like, you know, never read the comments, you know, don't really pay attention to what people say.
Yeah.
Don't really. But I think what happens is you have a fear of failure. And it's kicking in. Particularly you have a fear. Most people have a fear of putting themselves out there. But then I think really it's the fear of failing. Because let's be honest, if you guaranteed people to be successfyou in everything that they did, everyone's going to be happy.
Oh yeah, of course.
Everyone's just rolling, oh yeah, everything's great. I love life. But when you take away that element and you say, hey, no, there's an element of failure attached almost to everything.
Oh yeah, there'll always be a question mark.
There'll always be a question.
Like, you
know what I mean? So how I think that really applies to mental health is that people take that, they struggle with dealing with the fact that they are going to fail, and they try to find all these different unique ways to not fail, and it still happens. So then it kind of compounds and makes them even more frustrated, and it's like, why is this not happening? Why am I not successful here? Why am I not making these moves happen? In reality, it's they could be happening. You could be manifesting these goals slowly but surely. However, your fear of failing overall is what's really bringing down the value. You know, whether that's how much money you have in your account, how your relationships look, or even just personal connections with people. So relating that all back and just adding to what you said, it's like you almost need to develop that ability to realize that equilibrium and realize that success and failure are married together. You can't have one without the other, just like a positive and a negative, up and down. Everything is about polarity. And I think with life we try to throw away failure and just like, give me that success. Without realizing that the success is in the failure, and there's failure in the success. So it's like you don't realize that they're actually coincide and work together.
They work together.
So I think over time that starts to compound and starts to become an issue that people deal with, and then they struggle to find ways out of that. So what I would say, just a small bit of advice would be to anyone out there, is come to terms with the fact that failure is going to come. It's gonna happen for you consistently, and you're probably gonna fail more times than you actually succeed. However, when you do succeed, you will have a lot more appreciation and an understanding of how you did it, and maybe be able to replicate it moving forward. You know
absolutely.
what I mean?
That's a good point actually, because you get those people that that's how I differentiate. I don't know about anyone else, but from a personal, again, experience, that's how I differentiate. We've all gone into work where we've had horrible managers, and then we've gone into, at least for me, I've had good experiences where I've gone into work and I've had amazing, like, mentor managers, management, like just like women, inspirational women. They're funny enough, they've been women. Sorry, it is what it is.
That's fine.
And
it's what relates to you as well.
Yeah, and it just, like, for me, and I feel like when I've come to, like, try and understand why that was, a lot of the time what I found is, like what you said, Theo, like, the people that were the good managers, to me anyway, to my understanding, were the people that I'd actually had, like, kind of, like, made their way up.
Okay, yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah. They climbed the ladder.
They climbed the ladder, and when you climb the ladder, you trust me, you failed. Yeah. If you were a person that started from A to Z, you've failed at least, thousands, millions times. Yeah, you've done it. So they've come through failures and they've worked themselves up the ladder. So they've evaluated and formulated a more holistic of approach of how to manage and how to, really just, like, lead a leadership, be in a leadership role. And then you get those people that are just, like, horrible. Like I said, we've all come across horrible managers. Yeah. And then when I've come to, like, assess, like, why is this person so horrible to me? I've come to realize that 9 out of 10 times, luckily for them, they've not really had to climb the ladder. They kind of just, like, they just got there, like, looking back at their experiences and their background, they kind of had it, like, they didn't really have to climb or do, like, necessarily experience having maybe been a bit lower in the hierarchy of, like, career or whatever sense that it is. So I feel like, you're absolutely right. It does, like, it comes from, like, a sense of experience and being in that situation and overcoming it. So those people that have failed are more, like, there's a lot to take out of failure, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It's like, and there's a lot to appreciate out of that. Yeah. So, and that's why it shouldn't be looked at as something that's, like, a fear. Yeah. Because, I think we need to get rid of that taboo where, like, we see failure as a fear, because because that's where you start to get yourself stuck in a situation which can lead to mental health, because you have that, like, really, like, you're genuinely just scared to fail, because as if it's, like, a terrible thing. Yeah. When 9 out of 10 times it's actually a thing that will help you grow into that great leader, into that great manager, into that great, entrepreneur, like a great teacher. Yeah. It's by failing and assessing what went wrong, what went right, and becoming a better version of what you had tried before. Precisely. So
it's like the evolution.
Exactly.
But there is no evolution without failure as well. Exactly. It's in order to evolve into the person and the individual that you're looking to try to be, it takes trial and error. Figuring out, trying things, realizing that it doesn't work. Yeah. Whereas I think if you go around in the world thinking that I'm just going to try my best to avoid failing badly and embarrassing myself or looking silly. I mean, even like right now, we're on a platform. We've learned a lot of the things that we need to know in order so we can come on a platform like this and actually share and educate or even just give advice. Yeah. But that's through failing.
Definitely.
Sitting there and stumbling words, messing up things, not actually getting points clear, or just in general, just the fear of, like, I don't know, how do I sound?
Like, do I know enough about this subject?
Are people going to judge me the right way? Will people, like, dislike the content?
Yeah, exactly. How will I look on camera? 100%. All of that stuff. Yeah,
so many different factors, and what it does is it slows progress.
It does,
people mull those things over, and before they actually just go through it and give it a go, give it a shot, they'll just question. It's like you skydiving. If you got up into the plane, the open thing, and then you was just like, I'm not sure, give me another half an hour, I just want to think about it. And not to say that, some people have genuinely serious fears of that, but sometimes it does become a leap of faith. And the leap of faith is a calculated one. I don't think it's purely you're just jumping blindly. Definitely. I think that a lot of people, they're not silly, they're not foolish. A lot of people are going to do their homework and their research on things, so that they have at least an understanding of what they're getting themselves into. However, there is always an unknown
Yeah, there's
in each
always an
environment.
unknown. Yeah.
And that's what people try to do. I think what people try to do is they try to focus in on the unknowns and then try to create answers for them.
Yeah, try to dodge the unknown, basically. Like, I can find out what the unknown is, and really we can't. Yeah,
exactly.
It's
And that's
just
where
what
that
it is.
issue happens, right? Because then it's like, oh, I don't know what's happening in your own, I'm going to try and figure it out, and oh no, I'm just not going to do it now, and because I want to try something else, because they'd probably rather go to a project that they know from A to Z, they know every move, they know each step, and then what happens is it becomes robotic, it becomes automated, just like the people you said, maybe having a bad manager. When I tend to think of people that I've worked with that were either horrible to work with or bad management leadership, they were typically people who are rooted in their ways. Now, there can be a good thing and a bad thing. If you're Elon Musk, it's probably a good thing, because look at what you're building and the level of intelligence. So if he's a little bit abrasive as a character, you'll deal with that for what he's actually created and his production level. However, I think a lot of people try to keep a very one-tracked mind when it comes to working with people. And unless you've
but even with that, like even with Elon Musk, like he must have had a yin-yang approach, like a good balance of having his own way, as in being assertive and knowing that actually I've really like researched this specific area and this is how it needs to work in order for it to grow, which gave him his success. But then at the same time, I'm pretty sure he's got good innovators and people that he took ideas from,
1000%.
you know, otherwise he wouldn't have got, because one man can't achieve everything. So he did have his help.
No man is an island, no woman is an island.
Exactly. There you go.
It doesn't exist. I mean, throughout he is a product of his environment and his upbringing. So without the structure around him, good, bad or indifferent, is what designed and made who he is. Now, as I said, what I think happens is, until you've achieved some level of excellence that the market has dictated, you know, so when thousands and millions of people jump on board and say, I like what you're doing, I support that, I'll come and work with you to come and build these things further, that you're onto the right things now. So like you said, he's had to fail a long way to get to that point. But I think what most people do, they have a very strict way of operating, and they haven't really achieved a level of excellence that the market's dictated. So what people tend to do is, when they work with those individuals or for them, they feel very uninspired. They feel very unmotivated, because they're thinking, you have such a one-tracked mind, and I understand it has a purpose, but we're not at a position in society, or you know, whichever company, let's just say it's a regular 9-to-5 position, and your manager's bossing you around. They may have more info on that job, but in terms of evolution, and once you've learned what you needed to learn, are you probably going to stay with that person long term? Probably not. Because they may have had something to teach you, but then eventually you outgrow them. You evolve past that way of thinking, because we are social beings.
You're going to grow into your own character, into your own person, based on the experiences that you've had, because everyone obviously has come from different backgrounds, and we've had different experiences. So yeah, absolutely, I think your mind will just formulate into the path and direct you into the direction that you're meant to grow in,
100%,
or towards. Absolutely. I think another thing I wanted to highlight as well, like I think you talked about it a little bit there at the beginning, about like the pathway of like failure, because a lot of the time everyone talks about, I've seen it like so many times, like it's a journey, success is a journey, and it's just like, why don't we look at failure as a journey? I think if we looked, because you said that how you were saying that like people tend to look at success as this one big thing up there, so you have to kind of try and maneuver to get there. And I feel like if we looked at a failure as not a stopping point, but actually in fact a journey, and we're going to come across it and maneuver our way around, come across it again. If we looked at it that way, like a journey you have to come through, I think it might actually make it a little bit easier for people to then approach, you know. People might not feel as scared, because then they'll be like, okay, like failure's coming up, but it's a journey, so I'm going to keep going.
Exactly.
Just as success, you know, okay, I'm going to go to success, and it's a journey.
100%. I think you're right. It's they're kind of symbiotic in a sense, and I think we've got to get to a point of realizing, when it comes to, you know, a fear of failure, And the fear can be spread. I mean, we're talking about fear of failure particularly because I think that's one of the most important things that holds a lot of people back. However, there are many other fears, the fear of loss, the fear of missing out. There's which obviously termed as FOMO. There's many different fears, I think, in terms of how that can relate to you, but I think they're all rooted around the same thing, which is that lack of understanding, that fear of losing or something being taken away from you can be as equally strong as something being given to you. It's just a lot of people don't tend to count their blessings.
Absolutely.
They don't count the things they have, they count the things that they don't have. They're like, I've already got that, but I don't have this. And this is like,
and they tend to think that what they've got they're going to have forever.
Precisely.
I think it's a little bit advisable until it's gone, and then they realise,
exactly.
So
I mean, as I said, focusing in this all in and around mental health, I've seen so many people from young, old, in between, that they really struggle to identify what it is that they're chasing in terms of their success or what they're chasing in order to grow and improve. So what happens is they let fear of failure kind of consume their overall plan, and then it kind of just guides them wherever it chooses to. You're kind of being moved by that lack of understanding and appreciation of, hey, these failures are going to exist. Instead of me trying to discredit them and just usher them over here, how about I take them and learn equally from them, the same way I get excited about a success. So something that you get a small win in your life, for example. Loads of people will be excited, they'll go celebrate, they'll go pop a bottle of champagne, they'll call up their friends, they'll go out to dinner, because you want to revel in that feeling. You want to revel in that emotion and try to replicate it. However, that's just one side of the story. All of those failures that it took for you to get that success, you just immediately discredit.
Exactly.
Like, forget that. No, don't worry, we're good now. We made the money, we're good now. So say we made 10 mil. We're going to sit down and actually enjoy the fact that we've made 10 million. That immediately removes most of the stresses and fears that we previously had. But they're not really gone. They're just gone for you. And now you've kind of been able to manifest this new creation in your life. So what I would say is always try to have that like you mentioned earlier, that equilibrium, that holistic approach to what you're building, and understand that there is a cause and an effect, a positive and a negative, and you need to equally weigh them. Like, of course we're not going to want to fail the same way we want to succeed, of course not, but the awareness and understanding of it, I think, can help to guide us away from a lot of mental health issues that we see online, the depression, the anxiety, just overall stress, and the fear of not making it, I think, is something that really holds a lot of us back.
Absolutely. I would personally like to see, just like, how there's that trend that goes on Instagram, and it's like let's glamorize. Is it let's glamorize? Gosh, I'm so old school now. I should know this trend. But there's that trend where people just say, oh, let's I'm pretty sure it's a different word, but I'm just going to say glamorize. Let's glamorize doing this. And it's something that is like, people don't see as like, that should be glamorized, or glamorous, So I would like success to be treated that way, and I think if we start, this is like a good stepping stone where, like, even just talking about it, 100%. Talking about fear of failure that actually exists, and it stops a lot of people from moving forward mentally, physically, in all different kind of ways. So I think maybe we should glamorize it. I think we should really start to like. Because I feel like people successful, engineering. Exactly, reverse engineering. I feel like when we start to glamorize it, we start to see all the positives, because we're inclined to see all the negatives that come out of failing. When you're in school and you fail a test, like, you get an F. Like, what if they flip the script? What if they said if you failed, you get an A? What do you think that would have on someone's mental health? Like,
wow.
I mean, I'm just chucking that out there. I'm just for those psychologists out there, like.
No. I think there's something in that, because what you're touching on is that we operate in layers for certain things, but we operate singularly in other things. So if you're going to operate in layers, you need to do that for everything.
Everything, exactly.
And this is why people are going back to the people who have that single-minded approach, managers, ex people that you've worked with in leadership who you probably don't agree with or you don't get along with. It's because they tend to have that singular approach. Like, this is the way it's going to get done.
I want it done this way. Get on it.
Why are you late? You're fired. Everything is very black and white.
Definitely.
So they tend to be more successful in life because they don't really dabble or mess around in the grey area. However, they probably will experience a lot more mental health issues down the line because they're avoiding the fact that those are realities. It's like we're human. We're not robots. There are emotions attached. There are feelings. There are situations that will dictate an effect. And if for you to just say, no, it won't, like, we can just ignore that. You just need to toughen up. Or, you know, just go at it regardless. Well, I mean, just look at the world around us. If that was the case and everyone was doing that, mental health wouldn't be a conversation. We wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
That's very true.
So I think what we do need to do is appreciate that these things exist. And like you just highlighted, recognize that there are layers within those things. So whether it's glamorizing it or whether it's at least just highlighting that each phase has a pro and a con. That way we don't look at success like, oh, it's just a win. Success is great. We just want that. That's what we're trying to get to. It's just like some success is a bad success. For depending on who you are. And then with failure, sometimes, and a great example of this, sometimes you need to fail to know what you actually really want to do. 100%. So going through certain things.
I'm pretty sure like a lot of people that are in a place where they're happy at have failed to get there. You know, 100%. I've taken different routes and it's not worked out for me, which is why I'm in this route that I am right now.
There you go.
And you know, I failed to get here. So
and you needed to.
And I needed to. It was some of them were really harsh failures. Like it was like a slap in the face, you know, like hard wake up calls. But again, there was a positive, an extremely positive aspect, because if I had not failed and just continued in that path, I would have probably been miserable. But I actually, now looking back at it, I'm so glad I failed. No matter how much it hurt me at that time and made me upset. But like moods and like emotions come and go. And I worked past that emotion and I reflected on the failure and chose a different path in which I'm like much happier in right now. So absolutely. I think it's that making sure that you have a good balance of like, you know, having that sort of like healthy balance of the things that you can take out of both success and failure. Because there are positive aspects of failure and there are negative aspects of success. So it's not all what society tells you, like success is good, great, and then failure, or you failed, like, you know, you're like low in society, or no, there's there's connotation attached to, like, for example, let's take two great examples just to kind of tie this off, to give some reference to people. So you've got a homeless person and you've got a wealthy entrepreneur / CEO. The world paints the homeless person as a perpetual loss, perpetual failure, whereas the wealthy CEO and entrepreneur is perpetually seen as a success symbol. So those are almost two polarizing figures in society that affect individuals in a positive and a negative way. So for, let's say you're just a regular young person coming up in the world and you're looking at examples, you see a homeless person, you see a wealthy CEO or somebody who owns a company. Then what tends to happen is that we design the world and our relationships around trying to be that individual. So for example, you look at the homeless person, most people don't want to interact with that individual. They don't respect that individual. They wouldn't take their advice on board. They're just a human being who just walks across the earth now, because they're valueless. That's almost what the world will tell you. And then on the other side, the entrepreneur has a never-ending amount of value to give. His time is so valuable. It's so much more valuable than the next person's, because of the wealth he's acquired, the money he's acquired. Whereas I like to equalize that situation, not to the sense where I'm going to respect a homeless person's opinion in finance or business over the entrepreneur. However, there may be some real life, tangible, emotional or relationship bits of advice. But even that, like, even in that aspect as well, there's certain cases where you might, because you know, there's sometimes you come across people that have been successful and then something has happened throughout life, you know, because life will be
and
life,
it's changed, yeah.
and it's changed. So then without knowing, we've allowed society to dictate our opinion and our like beliefs on what that person acquires, what knowledge they acquire, what, you know,
or their level of intelligence,
experience and levels of intelligence. But really, we don't know their background, we don't know their history.
No.
So we've just randomly just made this assumption based on what society has like allowed us to like do.
Yeah. And
I think it's just,
it's a judgment. It's a judgment call.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens. We get to a certain point in life where once that that lack of understanding of what failure is, what the you know, the fear of failing is, it permeates into other forms of life.
It pushes you to like,
and it starts to change your viewpoints on people, and you start to become a little bit more negative in your approach, or a little bit more safeguarding in your information. So in some aspects we know that can be valuable and can be important, but on an overall grand scheme of things, as I said, we are social beings first, so we need human beings to interact. The most dangerous place for a human being to be is in solitary confinement.
Yeah.
In terms of, that's why they say no man is an island, no woman is an island, because on your own we're useless. As beings, as human beings, we need to be connected. We need to be inspired, motivated. We need to learn from bad mistakes. We need other people to teach us about bad mistakes so that we learn the differences. And I think that mental health is a huge fear of failure is huge when it comes to mental health overall, because we're not really been able to get past that point yet in society. I think that we're so much still dealing with the fact of whatever's in your bank account, however you look, or your level of intelligence dictates how successful you'll be, or your likeliness to fail. You know?
100%. That's another thing that you've like opened up there, is that a lot of people's fears of failure comes from an understanding of what they deem to be successful. So if you think a particular thing is like having something or being in a particular situation is unsuccessful, then you have a fear of a particular way, or if you have a fear of something happening that you also have seen it to be basically the opposite of what you deem success.
Agreed.
So if you don't go to university, some people see that, for some it's been a success, you know. Some people have gone on, opened up companies and become millionaires and billionaires. Others have gone and to university, didn't go to school, and others have. So it's different for different people. Some people have gone to university and it's been a success to them, and others has not. But then those people that go in with a logic, or have an understanding of a logic that going to university is the success, and therefore the opposite, not going, is unsuccessful. You're going to have a fear of not going to university. You're going to have a fear. You're going to be like, well, I need to go to university, and if I don't go, there's a fear of failure here.
And that usually starts from parents, and that starts from being taught. You know, that's taught over years. But you make a great point in terms of we are, and that's why it goes back to me talking about being social, us being about social beings, because we are influenced by people around us, and family members, friends, and such forth. And when you see others finding their version of what success is, it kind of tends to make people feel a little uncomfortable as to, you know, and social media is great. Another reason why this is bad, because you can pop online and see your favorite artist, your favorite athlete, your favorite musician, your favorite whatever, and they look and perceive to be like their day is going swimmingly. Like, oh guys, we're about to fly 10 days until I'm flying to Hawaii. Then I'm going to go do another little travel trip over here.
It's relaxing in Bali.
And then I've got a trip to Bali, and then I've got these business connections in America where my business is about to blow up and go international. It's just like everything. It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic because they're not going to talk about the fact that they stubbed their toe, or somebody hit their car door on the way to work, or you know, like they're not going to talk about the necessarily insignificant things. So it's almost like we've monetized just positivity online. So if you look like you're being positive, if you're traveling, you're making money, you're jet setting, you know, you're doing cool things in social settings, you're winning.
So I guess like as a question to just throw out there, what do you think like people can do to not get trapped into that world of like, right, this is successful, this is not successful, you know? So because like you said, like there's so many external things that affect our understanding or our like definition of success and failure. How can you, what do you think people need to do, or what do you think there's one way or solution, if there is a solution, of how people could avoid that into thinking certain things are successful, certain things are failures, etc.?
Yeah, I think that one, it starts with communication with people.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the times we come to conclusions on our own. And I think we think too highly of ourselves sometimes, forgetting that we require other people. Even if you're super intelligent, you could be a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily make your energy, your character, your personality more important than another individual.
Definitely.
So
yeah.
I think what happens is we have an overinflated sense of worth, as in people. So you ever see people where they're like, they turn their nose up and they're like, why are they doing that? And people who do this and do that, I can't stand that. Because for me, it's such an insecurity of the fact of, that's probably something you're dealing with. The fact that you're uncomfortable, or, you know, even in small things, I've seen homeless people on the streets and you'll hear people say, oh yeah, he's probably just doing drugs.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, maybe. But for you to come to that conclusion straight off the bat before you know them, that says a little bit of something about you.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think there's an essence of humility that's being stripped away from society because it's not cool.
Yeah,
it's not seen to be cool. It's like, it's seen to be, oh, you're just trying to, you know, virtue signal. And you're just trying to reach out and just get people to like you. And I think that's nonsense, because I think we have to get along. This is it's the world we live in. We have to work together, and even more so now with the fact of networking and social media being a thing. We're stepping into a world where relationships will dictate your level of success.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be about production level or your degree
or
your value and how much money you got.
Yeah, it's like what they say, it's like who you know, not it's not just purely of what you know now.
And it's becoming it's mostly becoming that now. You know.
Into networking, that's where you see like there's an uprise of networking, you know, that word network, it's thrown out everywhere.
It's another
now.
word for relationship.
You
know, it's the digital relationship essentially. Like if I'm connected to you online, like for example me and you, like people will see from the outside and assume there's another connection behind this that got to this point. So our network begins and then it extends to others. So I think it's just key for, like you said, for anyone who out there who may be dealing with that fear of failing. One, you have to come to an appreciation and an understanding that it's going to happen. That's what you cannot get away from that. Because once like you come,
acceptance, a form of acceptance. Like it's just a thing that happens in life.
Like the sun's going to come up.
Like
imagine if you got mad every day, the sun was going to come up. Just like, damn, every day this damn sun just don't stop coming out. Why won't it stop?
Can you imagine?
Like, why is water wet? Like, come on. We have to come to understanding that there are certain things. Now I understand, I'm talking about natural things here, but there are certain intrinsic things within human nature that will exist and will continue to exist. And I think fear of failure is one of those things that gets ostracized into a little pocket of bad stuff. It's like, we don't really want to deal with that. We don't want to deal with failing, because no one wants to fail. You want to be a winner.
Fail,
you want to
exactly.
win.
It's like we're literally taught it from a very young age. Like, winners
don't be a loser.
Losers.
Don't lose.
Be a winner.
You don't want to come last.
Not that, actually. If you could try your best, and if you do lose, you can learn from that. Like, hardly you get that. Like, I'm sorry to say, but parents out there, you normally, like, I'm not saying that there aren't exceptional parents. Of course there are. But, you know, you do see a lot of, like, guardians and parents that, you know, we really do emphasize on winning. And I'm, you know, I have to say I'm liable to that as well. Like, I've told my little niece several times, Yara, come on, you need to win, you know? But I should have, it's a natural thing, and it's just crazy to see how inclined we are as society to win and not take anything out of losing, when it's another part of life that we can take a great amount of information, knowledge and experience out of. Because I feel,
that's huge. No, that's so true. That's so true. I mean, just to try and surmise this, I'll leave you guys with this point. And that's something I was thinking about recently. Oftentimes when we're in social settings and social groups, we really like to key in and highlight the weakest link. And I found this in a lot of different competitive environments, most environments, because, you know, let's be honest, we want to improve, we want to do better.
Yeah.
So I've really found that in environments, we tend to chew out or focus in on the weakest links in groups, aka the person that is bringing the team down, is not. However, the strong links, they just get praise. We give them gold stars, we give them pats on the back, we say, well done, you're the example that people want to follow. But the responsibility isn't necessarily there for them to be responsible for the group. So I think it goes back to, again, reverse engineering.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to identify who the weak one is in the group and just try to be better than them, or, you know, just isolate the fact that they are the weak link.
Yeah.
We also need to turn and look at the strong links in groups and hold them accountable for uplifting the group as well. Not just the fact of, you're the best at this is great, we just like, you know, riding and using that energy, and then just keep pointing out the fact that, hey, the weakest link's letting us down, we need to come and bring that
absolutely.
up. If anything, we need to swap that,
we
and we need to say the strongest link, you're now responsible, because as soon as you've shown that you are the best and you're the most competent, I'm going to put more pressure on you. Just like if I realised this from a young age from football, they make the captain have to be responsible for the team, and then what they will do in like certain forfeits and things like that, they'll pull out the weakest link, or the person that messed up, and everyone else has to do the work. So the weakest link isn't getting further punished. So they're not saying, you're the weakest link, get up to standard, everyone else is here, you're not here. They'll say, no, we're going to pull him out, and we're going to hold the rest of you accountable. Because now what that does is that instead of turning it to him at the weakest link and saying, you just need to get better, what it does is it says, we are going to struggle if we don't help you to improve. You see, I've noticed how people don't want to help the weak link, but they're really happy to like look at the strong link and be like, oh my god, I really wish I was like you and I could do. What about the weak link who's sitting there going through those stresses and problems? We need to uplift all. If we're doing good and they've committed to something, then help. That's how I would suggest, if you look in social settings, social groups, just pay attention to the people in your groups. Instead of trying to point a finger and acknowledge the fact of them being weaker at something, how about you isolate from the strong people in that group how we could help raise that level,
definitely,
and work together better.
I like that. That's such a powerful analogy. I think society, that's, you know, we do focus on the winners, and that's where there's such a fear on being a loser and fear of losing. Absolutely. I think I'm happy to leave it as that, because I don't think I can top that analogy.
Honestly,
that was
I just think it just left it something for the people to think about, you know, because it's oftentimes we always just consider strength, weakness, strong, weak. And absolutely. I think what happens is the strong kind of just get they get left to their own devices and get more praise, and then what happens, I think that has an adverse effect on them. Absolutely. Because they don't feel responsible to have to bring up the group anymore. And I think that's something that our societies have been built upon. You know, humility in a king or a queen or a leader willing to help the peasants and the people at the bottom level to rise up. I think we've kind of got to this point where everyone knows where they are now. If you're down there, sorry for you.
You just need to get working, and I guess just try and be where I am.
Try and get yourself up the ladder. So
that's literally what you hear. Not that,
But overall, guys, I mean, there will be times, and we're not saying this is easy, but
definitely not.
I think the understanding that you are going to fail over a long period of time, multiple times. It's a journey. It's of evolution. And a lot of the times when people actually do get that breakthrough, or they actually cross over onto a positive side, they'll look back and they'll cherish those failures. They'll cherish all those times that they messed up and be like, man, I really needed that to know that this was valuable, you know? So if that's something that people can, I hope that's something that people out there can take away. And this is what we're trying to just really build, is just laying that foundation for the things that I think can help to improve, and things we think can help improve other people. And as I said, we'll get more and more into finer points as we go along with episodes and such forth. But anything else that you wanted to add to that, Hali?
No, I think that was a great summary of that. I think I agree. I think it's just again, like, this space is so important for that, just like interacting and sharing those ideas, because it's a massive thing that relates to mental health, fear of failure,
100%,
and just learning to see it as a journey, learning to see it as something that's going to ultimately happen. And even if you once have succeeded and have achieved success, there are still going to be times where you will fail, so you can get to success again. So it's just a continuous form of yin yang, success, failure, and it's just something that we have to, number one, just accept, as we've said several times. I think that's where it starts from acceptance. And one thing that I would leave off, like, for us to do as a society, to hold each other accountable, if you're out there, if you're a leader, if you're a teacher, you know, manager, whatever, I think it's just putting as much emphasis on taking accountability when you do succeed, as well as those people that do fail. So you're working holistically. There's a holistic approach of not just seeing those people that have maybe not done to the best of their ability as a failure, because it's not a form of failure. We say A for effort, but do we really actually mean it?
100%.
Do we actually really get an A for effort after failing? Because it's just because you failed doesn't mean you've not made that effort. You might have actually made a bigger effort than those who had succeeded.
Big time. You might have been sitting there revising for an exam for 2 months, and then there's a super smart person in the class who just reads through it in 2 days, and it's just like, I've got that.
Genius, like,
that's easy. I'm going back. What was on TV? And then you'll have somebody else who's really just driving themselves crazy, trying to figure things out. So that's a great one, just in terms of, you never really know how it's weighted. Just because you see success doesn't necessarily mean that X amount of work's been put in. Definitely. Sometimes it can be a small amount, and then there's someone over there that is failing, but they're putting in way more work and effort. So the accountability, I like that. I like that. It starts with the accountability, number one, and then hold others around you accountable. But I hope that you guys have been able to take something from this episode. As you said, like, last thing that we would really say is, like, don't be afraid of failing. Please, it is going to happen, and we're both examples of that, having to fail multiple times over to get to a certain point of understanding. And then I think it helps the fact that we work together, because we're both able to kind of share off of each other's energy. We can
don't be afraid to share your failures to others, because again, when
ask for help.
Ask for help. Like, just, it might be hard telling someone your personal business or telling someone that you failed, because obviously, as we've talked about, society sees it as a negative thing. But actually, there might be something that someone might be able to advise you on. And you might be able even to offer insight into someone else, how to, like, try and avoid that failure that you've been through. So I think it's so important to make sure that you converse with people, your family, your friends, network with other people, like-minded individuals. So we can all learn from this thing called failure, because I think there's so much to take out of it, rather than just negativity.
100%. Most successful people out there ask questions. That's we can boil it all down to that. Successful people probe, they ask questions, they ask inquisitive questions, and then they follow up on those questions to learn. So if there is even one or even two people out there that are able to take something from this and use it to help improve their day-to-day life, then that's really what we're here for. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
With that being said, guys, as I said, I am Theo,
and I'm Hali,
and we're just here to just break down some differences between mental health issues and mental health illnesses. So I think that each episode we'll continue to break certain things down, bring more things to the table, and potentially bring guests onto the platform that will further elaborate and be able to give us a little bit more specific information. But ask questions, don't be afraid to fail, and if you can take those things with you, I think that you'll be armed to be able to deal with the world in a much better state of mind. You know?
Absolutely.
But yeah, until the next episode, guys, we'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
Peace and love.
Bye.